Well, welcome everybody. We're delighted to have you with us this afternoon. This is the 21st of June of 2023. I'm Don Snow. I'm here in Provo, Utah, and our host is Gerhard Roof. He's in Orem, Utah, and we just couldn't get along without Gerhard. We appreciate you being here. For those of you who are online watching now live, and you may be watching this in 6 months from now since the video will be online. It's on Facebook as well as on Zoom. Today, our topic is online books. This is part two of online books. We're going to talk about the Internet Archive today. Last time, we talked about the books that were on Google Books and formats of books. And that video is available if you want to watch it. It's available on both Facebook as well as on the YouTube channel, as will this one be. We'll talk about the notes because there are notes on here, so you won't need to take careful notes of them yourself because they're available. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. On the Internet Archive, we'll talk about the Internet Archive website itself and briefly how to navigate, but our main emphasis today is going to be on the texts that are there. That includes books and magazines and newspapers and bunches of other stuff. Nearly 38 million items on there. We'll talk about metadata versus the text content. Metadata is about the publisher and the date who published it and when and so on. And the content is the text content that was actually printed. And you can search either one of those or both of them if you want to. We'll talk about searching and then viewing the results and then the stuff that's available to download. And most of the stuff on Internet Archive is available to download. Now, here's where the class notes are available. That's the URL, the uvtagg.org. That's their Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. And we've been going now for more than 30 years. It was the old PAF users group up until 15 years ago when we changed the name. If you only remember that part, uvtagg.org, you can get to where these class notes are. Just look for resources and then under Don Snow's class notes page. But that's the complete link to get to it. On that are the notes for this class as well as for all the previous classes. There are links on there as to where you can watch the past ones on YouTube and Facebook and so on, and the recent videos are on there. Now let's take a short break and show you what the notes actually look like. So I'm going to hit Alt Tab and go to the notes if I can see where they are. Let's see, not there, not there, not there. I guess it's this one. And no, my eyesight is getting so bad that I have to okay, here we go. Now I'll go over here I'll click on this tab right here. This is that tab, the link that you just saw, the uvtag.org and then Don's classes. This is my class notes page. And I update this on a regular basis. There are several sub pages down here, as you see listed here. And then as you scroll down a little bit, you come down eventually to there's links for where these things are stored and where you watch them and so on. Here's classes coming up. And this is today's class. It's item number 1 here under classes coming up. That's today, the 21st of June. By the way, today is the first day of summer. Did you know that? We haven't had too much summer yet around here in Utah, but today's the first day. This class is on Zoom and Facebook, and there's a link to click to get to it. And I've already clicked on that link, so that's a tab up there at the top. Here's the next class that's scheduled, though we're wondering whether or not we'd ought to postpone some of these till later and not do it in the summer, but we'll decide that later on. Right now, the next class is scheduled for the second Wednesday rather than the third Wednesday. Today is the third Wednesday, and we've been using third Wednesdays. But the second Wednesday is the time that we've got for next month because of problems and complications. And then I've actually put the dates down here, but we may end up changing those. I'll do at least one more class on books online, and that's going to be next time. It'll be books on Family Search. Scrolling on down here, you'll see all the other class notes from past classes, from what we've had in the past, and it goes on and on. There's 200 or 300 classes with the class notes down there. Now, let me click on this, the next item over here, which is, if you click on the notes for today, this is the notes for today's class. Books Online, Part 2. Part 1 was last month on book formats, ebook formats, as well as the books that are on Google. And this is on the books that are on Internet Archive. There's an abstract about what we're discussing on the information today. There's a little introductory information there. My email is on there. If you ever need to get in touch with me, if you're watching this 6 months from now and you want to write me, I'll be glad to try and answer a question for you then or now, depending on what's happening. There's a couple of items there that are helpful information. And then item 4 down here is the problem for today that we're going to be talking about. What's on Internet Archive, and what is Internet Archive, and what about the books on there? There's a link to the Internet Archive right there. And if you click on that link, if you're using the notes online, click on that link, it'll take you right to it. There's information here about what the Internet Archive is. And what it is it was a website that was started in 1996 by Brewster Kahle, K-A-H-L-E, who realized that he was a computer science professor, and he realized that the websites were being deleted. I think somebody estimated a fourth of all websites change every year. And so they were being destroyed and lost. And so he said, we need to do snapshots of all the websites, of the whole Internet Archive, of the whole Internet, and save that, as well as any other, whether it's a book, whether it's a movie, a TV show, a news broadcast, a music, phonograph record, CD, and so on. And all that stuff has been scanned and is saved on the Internet Archive. That's what it consists of. And it's free for use. They'd always like donations, but they're mostly supported by the big corporations, Google and Microsoft and so on. But it's loaded with information. And as you'll see when we get to it here in a few minutes, we'll talk about some of the other, I'll show you some of the icons, how to get to the different parts of it here in a couple of minutes. But they've got on there, under texts, which includes books and pamphlets and newspapers and so on. They've got nearly 38 million items right now. There is a series of instructional videos, not videos, but articles on there, and I'll show you how to get to those here in just a minute when we actually do some demos here of the thing. Internet Archives, the goal is to save the world's knowledge and keep track of it. But of course, some of it that's in copyright, they don't have permission to do it unless the copyright holder has given them permission, which they have in some cases. But you can find on there, for example, if you want to go back and look at my webpage for 15 years ago, you could find it. They did scans of the whole internet. And so my webpage, what it looked like 15 years ago, is on there. All the stuff that is available on there. It's just a goldmine of information. There's just lots of different sorts of things on there. We're going to be talking about searching, and that's item 15 here, where it says searching. There's some tricks on searching and so on. Because it is such a large database, it's not easy to find your way around in it, but it's just loaded with information, as we'll see. Then there's some conclusions down here. Try your own name in there, and so on. We'll use some examples as we do it. Okay, now that's the where the notes are. So those notes are available, and Gerhard usually puts a PDF copy of these notes in the chat for Zoom. If you're watching this on Zoom, there's a link to the chat, a link in there that will get you these notes, but they're on my website. They're always there on the website. And there's
They're
also
already there, Don.
Good. Okay. And there's a comment, probably put a comment in the Facebook page as to how to get to them too. So
Yep.
He's got them there already. Okay. Now let me get back to the PowerPoint here. Tab back to right here. Here's where we stopped with the class notes before. The next thing we're going to be looking at is we want to do some demos, live demos of this. Now, this whole class will only last roughly a half an hour. I found that half-hour classes are much better than longer ones. But this is the stuff that we're going to be looking at. The Internet Archive website itself. We're going to talk about metadata versus the text content. I'll show you how to search those. We're going to only look at the text today, but if you're interested in music or concerts or past TV shows or old movies, they're on here. If it's out of copyright, they're available on here. I donated to them. My kids boxed up 105 cartons full of my vinyl records. There were over 6,000 vinyls and bunches of CDs. And we sent all those back to them about 2 months ago. And I noticed they've already got in there, if you type in my name and a collection in quotation marks, it'll come up with the Donald R. Snow collection. And they haven't got them all scanned or recorded off, digitized yet, but they will, and they'll be available. Stuff that's out of copyright, you can get the whole thing and you can download the whole thing. If it's in copyright, you can see it on there, but you can only, if the music part, you can only listen to the first 30 seconds of it. We'll talk about searching. We'll talk about viewing the results and then about downloading. Okay, so now let's go back to the tab. Let's see, Alt Tab, and go back to this one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, now I'm going to click on this tab. I've already typed in archive.com. Now, keep in mind that this is, it's Internet Archive, but their URL, Uniform Resource Locator, their address is just archive, singular, archive.org. If you put in archives, plural.org, you get something else. You don't get this. So this is the page, their homepage of Internet Archive, just archive.org. Now you notice this big black bar here, it says Wayback Machine. That's where the Wayback Machine is, where you find all the stuff from the past parts of the web. That's where you go if you're looking for an old website on there. What we're going to be doing with today, I'm going to scroll down a little ways. You scroll down and you see across the middle here in the middle, there's all these icons right there. I think you can maybe see where I'm circling around with my mouse. There's I think it's 8 or 9 icons on there. If you hover over each one, it'll tell you what's in that. This one, I've hovered over the first one, that's the web. Hover over the second one, it's texts. Over the third one, it's what is it, movies or videos or something. There's concerts on here, there's TV shows. Anyway, it's gold mine of stuff on here. We're going to be looking at the text, so I'm going to click on that second one, click on texts, and it'll open up this thing. Here's books, ebooks, and texts. So I clicked on that icon on their homepage, and here's the collection of them. Now you notice down here over on the left side, 37,900,000 and something, almost 38 million items in this collection. Now what you're seeing here is the items themselves. There's a complete list of all 38, 37 million of them here on the way down, and you'll see different collections with the numbers of items in each collection. There's 1.7, what does that say? 1.7B, I guess, I don't know what that stands for, of information on there. You can, so that's a list of the collections themselves. Now you can sort those in various ways. Notice up here at the top it says sort by the number of views. So you can look at the most popular ones and so on. Sort by title. I think they're sorted by title now, because it looks like the A's are the first there. Or sort by the date they were published. So if you keep track of the dates you check on stuff, you can look for after a certain date, and then you know you've already checked everything before that. Or the creator, and so on. And you can show more details. We'll look at that here in just a second. And then these other items over here are to the right here at the top of this list are different ways to view this. I want to show you an example before we get into that. So I'm not going to click on those yet. Now here's a little search box over here. Now notice that underneath the search box on the left side, There's a whole bunch of stuff there. It says metadata. Notice that the default button is in metadata. If you're wanting to search, the metadata is about when the book was published or the item, whatever it is. What is the dates? Who published it? How long is it? What pages are there? What have they got scanned? Where did they get it from? All that. That's the metadata. Meta is about the information. The other dot, if you want to search the text itself, you click on that dot and put the dot in text contents to search there. Now you're searching everything that is in there in that item. And so if you don't have to know the book in advance or the text in advance, you can type in whatever words you want or phrases and find which books those occur in. Now I'm going, and then further down here, there's the media types and other things that you can eliminate the different, if you know you're only searching for certain things, you can click on one of those. I'm going to click on the text contents. I'm going to click up here in search. And if I can see where that is, search. Now I'm going to put in here my name, but put it in quotes. Quote, D-O-N-A-L, Donald R. Snow. Put the other quote in there. Okay, and I think I spelled it right. Did I?
Don, you want to put a space between Donald and R.
Yeah, thanks. That's what I do. I can hardly see Donald. Is that now right?
That's good.
Okay. Yeah, this is where my eyesight is such that I use that big screen magnifier because then I can see it because of my macular degeneration problem. But once you get it in there, then either click on that magnifying glass there, or I'll just hit enter. Okay, and so I hit enter, and so now it's searching. And what did it come up with? It came up with 80, it says 88 results down here in the books and texts. Now, as you look through this, now I'm going to have to, I'm going to turn my magnifier back on so that I can see some of this. Let's see, Windows Plus turns that magnifier on for me. And it'll increase, there's the increase to the whole size. Okay, there's calculus of variations and control theory. That was a paper I published in 1976, and it came from, that was a symposium on calculus of variations. I think that was at the University of Wisconsin or some such thing as that. Here's a genealogical journal. I don't know what that is. I haven't checked on that one. Table of something, it lists them. You see the list here of all of these different things. Proceedings of the SIMS, that's a Society for Industrial and Applied Math conference on whatever that was on. Forgotten what that one was on. I was the local host for a bunch of those. Not all these will relate to me. In fact, as I came down through some of these, I began to find stuff that my son had. Don Jr. worked for Boeing Aircraft down in California, and had, I think it's 10 different patents of stuff, and his patents are listed in here under Donald R. Snow because that was his name too. He's the one that died quite unexpectedly about 6 months ago of influenza, and died very suddenly. And we didn't know all the stuff that was going on with him at Boeing Aircraft until they boxed up his stuff from his desk, and they found his shrink-wrapped plaques of 10 different things that they'd given him about patents that he had. He had a patent for something for aircraft that they're using on all airplanes now that would have prevented the trade towers because from going down because of the burning stuff. Don's patent is listed in here under that. Anyway, there's one, Daily Universe. That's the BYU newspaper that I was actually the editor, the associate business manager of it for the 1 year I was here at the BYU. But this is 1975, so that's something about maybe a talk I gave or something. Daily Universe. Anyway, you see all this stuff that's in here. Now, let me click on here, go up to the top and show you over here on the, well, let me turn off the magnifier so you're not getting dizzy by watching it. If you, whoops, I got the wrong one here. And now I'm back in the wrong place. Alt tab. Is this? Yeah, here we go. Alt tab. Now notice that up here, there's the, I'm going to click on this, the show details. Put a check right there. Click on that box. Now notice that it filled out a whole lot more of the information about each one of these items. And so of these, however many there are, 88 items or whatever there are on here, it gives you a little more information about them at the time, so that it makes it easier to know, is that one you want to look at or not, because it gives you more of the details. Now look at these other 2 items up here on the, I'm going to click on this one. That one, this one now shows you everything in boxes with instructions about what the box is in there, what contains of calculus variations, the variational techniques, and so on, a genealogical journal, and so on. It may help you to look at that from that standpoint. There's the Daily Universe. Let's see, is this the Daily Universe? Well, that's Campbell Pratt. I don't know what that is. Something else. Well, anyway, there's all the stuff is in here with that, which you may find helpful to look at it from that standpoint. That's this icon right here. This other icon, the next one, the last one over there, is looking at it in terms of a list view with the details. And so there's, I've got the check under show details, and so it's showing the list view. And if I uncheck that, if I can see to do that, where's the cursor? There's the cursor right there. Uncheck it, and it goes back to just the main titles. So you may be able to find the information you're looking at quicker by looking at this versus seeing all the details. Now, if you want to sort this, they're sorted by title now, but you can sort this by the number of views that has had, or the date it was published, or the creator. Whoever, like the Daily Universe, that was published by BYU, and so they'll all be listed together, and so on there. So that'll give you some ideas as to what to do with it. Now over here on the side, on the left side, are filters. If you want to know just the stuff that was published in a certain year, click on that year, and it says there were 3 items published in whatever that year, 1999, 3 in the year 2009, and so on down the line, the different times. So if you know more of the year, then you can eliminate and say, I only want to see those, and it will make that a lot easier for you to see. Further down here, there's topics and subjects. And so if you know more about what the topic is that you're after, see, here's 13 by Brigham Young University. That would probably include all of the daily universes and stuff that came from BYU when I was teaching there. Or the American Mathematical Society. I gave a bunch of talks for them at national meetings and so on. And so that's on here. So anyway, there's ways that you can filter this down if you know more about what you're looking for, to only look at just those items in there. Now, one of the things you'll want to try is, notice that I searched in here for Donald R. Snow. Where is it? Right here. On that in quotation marks. The quotation marks are like Google. That means you're only after exactly that expression. Now, Google has some additional features that this doesn't have. There's that around feature, the proximity search, that I find really helpful in Google. That doesn't seem to work here. At least I haven't been able to get it to work, so I don't know whether there's a syntax that will work on here or not. You'll want to try different orders of things, like what we get. We got 88 something on this thing. Yeah, I'm going to research this thing and now type in Snow, S-N-O-W, Snow, comma, Donald R. And then put in the, and delete all this other stuff. Okay, now let me hit enter and see what happens with this. Okay, that found 105 results. So now notice it's saying I want that exact expression, but Snow, then Donald R in there. And so this will maybe include some of those others, because my name may have been written both ways in that same item. Remember that we're searching here the text content. You see, we've got the dot here in the text content, not the metadata, not about the thing, but what's actually was printed in there. And so here's another bunch of things to go through. The Proceedings of the American Math Society in 1972. That was a paper I published on some partial differential equation stuff and so on. And so be sure you try different combinations of things to be sure that you're getting everything. If it had that proximity search, you could do all this at once, because but doesn't seem to have. In Google, if you use the around command, capital AROUND, and then in parentheses the number of like a number 4, and then the 2 terms on either side of the around, it'll say we're looking for those 2 words, but with only 4 words separating them, or 10 words, or 3, or whatever. You can use that, and then you don't have to use the 2 different types of searching here. Now, once you find something that you want to, there are various, well, let me click on something. Here's this Proceedings of the American Math Society. Click on it and see what comes up. Okay, here's the information on the American Math Society. Okay, it's there's the paper. Oh, by the way, I'm looking at, because of my eyesight, I do white on black. It makes it easier to see a search. You're used to seeing black on white, like you see around the borders here. But for me, the reverse colors is much easier for me to read. That's one of the things you learn about macular degeneration, as to what makes it easier to read. So white on black is. And so there's the information about it. Now down below here, there'll be the information about what's in that, when it was published. It's had 64 views, 64 different people looked at this. A couple of those were me at different times of the year at other places. It's on scholarly journals, and it was a microfilm. And so I guess they've scanned the microfilms and made those into text forms now, and so on. This is the metadata. And so if I had searched in the metadata for these kinds of things, that would have come up there. Over on the right is the information, the download options. Now look at all these options that they've got that you can download this stuff in. You can do it as an EPUB. Remember when we talked last week or last month about Google, about the different formats of books and so on? EPUB is one of the main ones. PDF is by all odds the biggest seller, but PDF is a picture of the page. And so if you expand PDF, you expand the whole page. You can't just expand the text on it. And EPUB, you can expand the text and it'll change the pages. So the paging doesn't make a difference. You can do a full text download, or all these other things. All these are different things that you can download the thing at, or you can do it as a JPEG 2000 if you want to, whatever the pages are on this thing. And once you download it, it comes down, there's PDF down there. You see the PDF on there. Once you download it, it comes down with the text layer on the PDF, so it's searchable. When you download from Google Books, it's not searchable when you download it. It's searchable online, but not when you download it. Here, it's searchable both online on the website as well as after you download it. So it's a major plus here that you don't have to OCR it, optical character recognize it yourself to get it. Well, anyway, that gives you some ideas about the downloading things, and you can put it into different formats and so on. And there's other things that you can do with that. Now, let's see if we're about out of time here. Let me go back to Alt-Tab and get back to our demos. We've talked about the Internet Archive website. We looked at metadata versus the text content itself. And we're only looking at texts here, but you can do the same sort of thing with music. And it's a goldmine of old 78 records. There must be nearly 1 million of the old 78 records that they've digitized that are on here that you can listen to or download. We looked at searching, we looked at viewing the results, and we looked at downloading the information itself. So this is a summary of the same sort of thing that we've just looked at. it's really a good website worth looking at and worth keeping in mind as to what you can do with it, because it's got so much stuff. Try your own name in there to start with. Put it in quotation marks. Otherwise, you'll get a page that has your names on it, but they may not be together. All right, that's our time is about up. In fact, it is past up. Do you have any questions or any comments? If you do, just unmute your microphone. Or Gerhard, are there any questions or comments on Facebook?
I have none on Facebook, Don.
Okay. Do any of you who are on Zoom with us have any questions or comments?
Don, do you know if there was a lot of stuff done in the late 90s, early 2000 called SIRWeb, State of Utah Education something or other. I don't remember the exact. Have you ever, would that be in there too, those things?
I don't know. I'm not sure of that, but I wouldn't be a bit surprised. The LDS Church has a contract with them so that all the old church magazines, newspapers, all the old conference reports, all that stuff is on there. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if the state of Utah also has a bunch of stuff in there. If it was that a state sponsored thing or?
Yeah, it was a state sponsored thing.
It's certainly worth a try to see if it's there.
What if it was ever called again? I'll do a quick search.
It's called SIRWeb, SURWEB, capital letters.
And it might be on there, or it might be listed somewhere else. But and if it was ever a website, was it a website?
Yes.
Oh, what
I see the website on there. It's sirweb.org, and it's got stuff back to 2000. Well, let's see, back to 1998.
Okay,
that's a lot of stuff in the 2000s up to 2010, and then it picked up again with some stuff in 2015 to the current date.
Wonderful. That's an example of an old website. That 1996 is when they started this, when Brewster Kahle started doing the scanning the whole web. And so everything that was old websites, once they disappear, you may be able to find the whole website itself on here. And that's an example of one. So that's good. Thanks. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Well, if not, if you want to ask questions later, feel free to, and I'll be glad to try and answer them. But we've appreciated having you with us today for Online Books Part 2. And we'll do Part 3 probably next month, but we may end up changing that depending on those. And that'll be on books that are on Family Search, because Family Search has 500,000 books, and they're searchable and downloadable as well. So appreciate you being with us. There's the information. There's my email address again, if you want to get back with me later on. And the notes are down there on that same website. And Gerhard has posted the link to the notes in the chat with us both on Facebook as well as on Zoom today. So thanks for being with us, you folks. We appreciate you taking time to watch it, and we'll be glad to be with you again in the future.